Hi there, Coach Alexa here. So we're coming up to 2 weeks away from Ramadan. So that's a holy month in the Muslim kind of calendar of worship. And it's a month that for many Muslims involves fasting. So fasting from the moment of sunrise through to breaking the fast at just after sunset. So I thought I'd talk about perhaps what to think about around doing running training alongside a Ramadan fast. Because as you might have picked up on in a lot of the videos that I do talking about running, hydration and fueling are pretty important. And when you're not able to do either of those things during those daylight hours between sunrise and sunset, then it becomes a little bit more tricky. Absolutely not impossible, but just a few more things to think about and plan around in terms of training, fueling and hydration. So I guess the biggest thing to say, like with all of these things that I talk about, that a lot of this is a bit of an experiment for you as an individual. So each individual is going to have a different experience around their fast, a different experience in terms of how you like to break fast, what you're eating beforehand, what you're eating afterwards. So there's lots of different variables. Everybody's body responds differently to fasting, and everybody's body responds differently to training. So, you're going to be all at very different points in your training journey and doing different things as runners with different goals in mind. So this is just some kind of general advice that will hopefully help a few of you out. So it's worth having a little bit of a think to start with around, I guess, the fact that there is limitations around hydration and fueling around those fasting hours. So I guess broadly speaking, 3 different options around when to pop your training runs in. And a few different kind of pros and cons or upsides and downsides of those different options. So I guess the first one is quite early in the morning before the fast starts. So the advantages to this one is that you have still got some energy availability that you've not used up all of because you've been sleeping a lot of the time in between breaking and eating to break the fast the day before, and the following morning you've got the opportunity to take on some hydration, maybe a little bit of quick release energy before your run, during the run, and then hopefully rehydrate and refuel afterwards before the fast starts. So that's an option. There's a bit of a timing thing. It's a bit of an early start, which isn't necessarily what you want. And I guess there's timing around, kind of the fueling, your pre kind of fast start breakfast, and also around prayer and things like that to kind of think through. Then there's an option of running during the fasting hours during the day. So I guess, for some people that's maybe easier to fit in timing wise. You get to run while the sun is up, which is nicer at this time of year. But I guess it's the most challenging from the perspective of more constraints around being able to hydrate and fuel before and particularly during and then after that run. So I'll come on to talk a little bit about tweaks and adaptations and things to think about for the types of run you're doing over Ramadan, but that's probably the trickiest for your body. So you may, feel flatter on the run, you'll have lower energy levels, you'll be going slower. Your body won't enjoy it as much. There are a bit more of a risk of just kind of running out of energy, not feeling too good, possibly even getting a little bit lightheaded. So a few things to think about there. I guess the other option, because I guess sunset time isn't too late at the moment for 2026, at least for Ramadan, is eating after you've broken your fast in the evenings. So at any point in the evening, and if you're doing a run sooner after you've broken the fast, I know it can be a little bit difficult to just have too much to eat at that point, but something that's got some carbohydrates in it to get that quick release energy back circulating in the bloodstream and around the muscles. So sugary or carbohydrate containing foods. Get that hydration in. Even if you're going for a shorter run, take a bottle of water and maybe take some sugary snacks or sweets during the run again to keep that energy and water kind of trickling in as you're running. And then you can rehydrate further and, get some extra carbs and some protein in for recovery after your run. Again, with timing, you don't want to be training too close to when you're going to sleep, because it can mean it's more difficult to get off to sleep. Around prayers and, the kind of breaking of the fast meal and bits and pieces. So a little bit of planning and thinking to do around that. But for some people, that's but fits in a little bit better with their day and their fueling and their fasting. So things to consider with training. So I'd think about running and non-running on alternate days. So by that I mean one non-run day between each run, because regardless of what time of day around your fast that you're running, it is going to be more challenging on the body. You're going through long periods of that day and then overnight while you're asleep, while you're not eating or drinking anything, and that is just going to make things a little bit more tricky for the body to manage your training load. So giving your body a non-run rest day in between each run is a pretty good rule of thumb. And if you can, cut out the speed work, because that's going to place much higher requirements on our fluid levels and our quick release energy levels from carbohydrates. So if you're trying to do speed work in a slightly underfueled or very underfueled state, that is going to be really tricky. It's not going to feel very good. You're not going to get particularly good results from the session or adaptation to the session. And also, if possible, just cut down the distances of those longer runs a little bit. Again, because it's going to be more challenging for the body. If we go into a longer run, so depending on your fitness background, but about the sort of 9 or 10 mile mark plus, starting to potentially run a little bit low on those glycogen levels, particularly if we're fasting. So it just again means that there's a risk of us running out of energy, feeling a bit dreadful, maybe getting a bit lightheaded. It challenges our body quite a lot. So those are a few little things to think about. Couple of other things to mention is if you're training for a goal that is kind of something that you've not done before, so like a first time you're at a 10k, half marathon or marathon distance, aiming for a new time, perhaps in a race in kind of April or May or something like that, I'd maybe consider your goals around it a little bit. Be gentle with yourself, because trying to, push on with your training towards a goal that is a bit of quite a challenge for you at a time when you're also trying to do a month-long fast is really tricky in our bodies. So just think a little bit about, the kind of goals that you're setting yourself. And also as well, if you're relatively new to the concept of fasting, so maybe you're in your late teens, early 20s, you've not done that many Ramadan fasts before, then again, it's still a little bit of a learning curve for your body. So just be gentle with yourself, listen to your body, listen to its feedback. Maybe at the start of the Ramadan month, go out for just occasional, shorter, quite gentle runs, feel your way into it every other day, and just see what your body has to say about it and see how it adapts. I hope that's really useful. I'll be publishing a little bit more detail in some of those key points in a blog post in the next week or so. So look out for that one. Happy running.